Republicans have always known that the Hispanic vote was the money vote for them. Ain't that way no more. And it's scaring them. Back to the woman that was the reporter, because I read that article. See, let me put this up there. Remember the preacher? The guy, not Katie, that's the reporter. Where is his vote? Remember the guy that I put up there? Pastors for Trump, the founder of Pastors for Trump. He said, now Democrats now, black Democrats have been Christians forever. Black Democrats just ain't started talking about Christianity. Just ain't started talking about faith. But see, white people have taken, like I said, white people have, like Talarico has said, they have tried to co-opt Christianity. Black people and Hispanic people are the most conservative people, voters, people in Texas. Always have been. Not white people, Hispanics and blacks. When it comes to religion, when it comes to Christianity. But white evangelicals and white Christian nationalists have co-opted that. Well, along comes a Talarico. Now, what this man is saying, they really believe that. This founder of Pastors for Trump. I think Democrats are only talking about faith because they realize the largest voting bloc in America is the evangelical bloc. And to win the election, they're going to have to tap into that. Well, they are. And like I said at the beginning, that's what's scaring the bejeebers out of them. And that's what's happening in Texas. And that's what's happening with this race. And that's why when this poll came out, I was not shocked at all. Talarico is 3 for 3. He is 3 for 3 when it comes to lining up how he lines up with either of them, Corning or Paxton. Who is the better bet? Like I said, the better bet is Corning. But both of them, when you look at the demographics of Texas and you look at who Texas is and who Texans really are, they look like Talarico. As far as age go, they look like Talarico. They don't look like a 63-year-old Paxton. They don't look like no 74-year-old Corning. And he's bringing those young Christians back. But like he said, he's not bringing them back the conventional way. He said you have to recast religion for this younger generation or lose them. And that's what Talarico has been successful in doing. And that's why he is gaining and he keeps gaining and he keeps gaining. Let's look at this last quote. Like I said, we got to get out of here. We can get on a porch. But I read this article. It's in the Times. It's a British Broadcasting Corporation paper. And she said this, I'm going to end it with this. And then I'm going to get your questions and we're going to go on the porch. She said, what's happening here is not just a Senate race, but a test of whether faith itself can be politically recoded. Remember, he calls it recasting. She calls it recoded. And that's what we're looking at. I want y'all to remember these two words. I want you to remember recoded and recasting, because that's what you're going to see going forward in faith in Christianity with these younger voters. Recoded and recasting, okay? For decades, Republicans have treated religion as an electoral moat. Now, keep in mind, she's British, so she's using these. A language Democrats could not speak without sounding inauthentic. Talarico is attempting something riskier, not to borrow that language, but to rewrite it. He calls it, y'all, recasting it, okay? Keep that in mind. If he fails, it will confirm the old assumption that God talk in American politics belongs to the right. But if he succeeds, even narrowly and imperfectly, it will shift the fault line in U.S. politics. Bam! That's it right there. That is their fear, and that's what they see, and that is what is happening, y'all, in Texas. The fault line is shifting. The faith fault line is shifting. She said it will shift the fault line in U.S. politics. It already is. Not between left and right, but between rival moral visions, each claiming the same scriptures, symbols, and authority. In Texas, of all places, that argument is now out in the open. And that, y'all, is what's happening in Texas. And that's what's happening with this race. The fault lines have shifted. Talarico calls it recasting. The reporter called it, she called it, what did she called it? I'm not inauthentic. Testify the faith, the gays not speak without anything. Talarico is attempting something risky, not to borrow the language, but to rewrite it. Yeah, rewrite it. She calls it rewriting it. He calls it recasting it. Either way, what's really happening in Texas is that fault line. And that fault line is Christianity and faith. And when Trump says, I wrote it down, he insults Jesus. And Ken Paxton says, once we expose his views, he's done, talking about Talarico. So once we get past May 28th, May 26th, and it comes out, I believe it'll be a Paxton. What you're going to see, y'all, is not so much the politics, although that will be there. It's going to be the religion. That's the fault line. Not left or right, like the reporter said. Left or right is not the fault line anymore. The fault line is faith. It's faith. And what was sure at one point for the Republicans, that fault line is shifting and has dramatically shifted. And it keeps shifting because every time, a poll comes out, it may be 1 percentage point, excuse me, or maybe 2. But that fault line keeps shifting towards Talarico. And y'all, that is what is happening in Texas. And let me show you this, because I didn't show it. This is almost Talarico's rallying cry. This is almost, I think this may be his campaign slogan, love thy neighbor. And you hear him say it everywhere he goes. You see he has it on his mask as he's serving water. I think that's in Taylor, Texas. Taylor, Texas is down near Austin, I think, down in Williamson County. But this is who he is. See, you're not going to find Ken Paxton. Listen, you ain't going to find Ken Paxton and John Cornyn doing this. They ain't going to do it. They're not going to do it. But see, Talarico's view of Christianity and their view of Christianity is very, 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 very different. And that's why Paxton says we're going to have to expose that. So after May 26th, Talarico is not so much going to have to fight the politics. He's going to have to fight the politics, but it's going to be the Christians. The Christians. The Christians, like this man right here, the pastor that founded Pastors for Trump. He said, I don't think they're going to succeed because the values of the Democrat platform are irreconcilable with the values of evangelicals. Well, like Talarico said, when when I think it was Trump that said he insults Jesus. Talarico said, no, you insult Jesus when you take food from the poor and you don't welcome the immigrant, and when you do all these nefarious things to children, and that insults Jesus. So y'all, this is going to turn into, now you can pick your side, Democrat, Republican, you can pick your side, Talarico. And to me, as a Christian theologian trained, listen, Dallas Theological Seminary, the Presbyterian Seminary where Talarico is, ain't nothing compared to Dallas Theological Seminary. Dallas is, when it comes to conservative evangelicalism. That's what the fight is going to be, because that's what the fault line is. Because it's never been, y'all, that the Democrats have had this kind of advantage. Never. And that's why, what we're looking at right there, that's why they've never won. I ain't say we never won, but they haven't won since 1994. And not a governorship since 1990. We've had George W. Bush, we've had Rick Perry, we've had this demon, Abbott, that we have. We've had this demon for way too long. And he is a demon. He's demonic. I've said that. I won't bite my tongue about that because that man is demonic. So y'all, they have to do what they when those seats. Let me put that back up there. Let me put that back up there. Let me see. Is that the one I'm looking for? Nah, that's not the one I'm looking for. This is the one I'm looking for right here. This is the one I'm looking for right here. Like they say, right there. Y'all see that? Them 4 seats. If Talarico wins this seat in Texas, and y'all, that's why they're fighting, all the redistricting in Virginia. They've yet, I mean, the Republicans are falling like dominoes, and can't before more of them afford to fall. And so when they get these numbers in Texas of all places, let me enlarge that again. In Texas of all places, they have to do some things that they've not had to do because they've not had to do them since 1990. Like these Turning Point USA chapters in high schools and mandating those high schools be there. Those chapters be there, or else schools get punished. That's not about the kids. That's about turning those kids conservative and Christian so that come November, they can vote to combat this army of 20-somethings that Talarico has working for him day in, day out, tweeting out, posting on Instagram, these Bible verses, old Bible verses, relating them to what's going on today. Smart. I'm telling the boy, smart. Opie's smart. Opie is really, really, really smart. He's very smart. And he's beating them at their own game. And he's doing it with a smile, and he's doing it with the love of Christ. And it's killing them because they don't know what to do with that. And y'all, this is the last gasp for the Republicans in Texas. And I'm going to put that back up there because I know some of y'all had never seen those numbers before, having lived through it. I didn't know it was 100 consecutive races that, statewide races that Republicans have won. So whenever you hear Republicans talk about the condition of our schools, the condition of our hospitals, the condition of our streets, the conditions, it's them. It's not the Democrats. Democrats haven't been in office. Yeah, put it back up there. Put that back up there. The last time there was a Democratic governor, James Talarico was 1 year old, if that. depending on he may have not been one yet. He may not have even been one yet, because the boy wasn't born until 1989. Ann Richards, last time we had a governor, Texas had a governor, was 1990. I want y'all to look at that and let that soak in, let that sink in, because see, that's something that the Republicans can't run away from. They can't hide behind the cross. They can't hide behind the Bible. They can't hide anymore. And Talarico, they don't know how to contend with that. They can't gerrymander him away. They can't scare him away. They can't shame him away. They can't out-Bible him out the way. They can't out-Christian him out the way. But like I said, they are scared to death of this 30 consecutive year run that they've had. And 100, let that sink in, 100 consecutive wins for Republicans in Texas. And what's happening, y'all, ain't the politics. It's the religion. Just like that reporter said. What's happening here is not just a Senate race, but a test of whether faith itself can be politically recoded or recast. For decades, Republicans have treated religion as an electoral moat, a language Democrats could not speak without sounding inauthentic. Talarico is attempting something riskier, not to borrow that language, but to rewrite it. If he fails, it will confirm the old assumption that God talk in American politics belongs to the right. But if he succeeds, even narrowly and imperfectly, it will shift the fault line in U.S. politics. Not between left and right, but between rival moral visions, each claiming the same scriptures, symbols, and authority. And in Texas, of all places, that argument is now out in the open. And y'all, that is what we're dealing with. And that is what is happening, not behind the scenes. That is the scene. But it's the scene that's overlooked by corporate media. It's the scene that's overlooked by talking heads, on these podcasts and things and all this and all that. This what I just showed y'all. That's the meat of it right there. It's not so much the politics, it's not his politics, but it's what he's been able to do and what he is still able to do. That's never been for Democrats. Not since 1990. And here we are. And like Talarico loves to say, he said, Jesus loves, but Christian nationalism kills. And that's his mantra. And they're gonna do everything they can to kill him. So y'all, this is not going to be about politics after May 26th. You watch what I'm telling you. And these talking heads can say whatever they want to say, and they will. They don't know Texas. They don't know Texas. They don't know the 100 consecutive laws. They don't know. They understand that. They don't understand what really is the driver here. But Talarico does. And he uses almost the exact same words as that reporter. The rewriting, the recasting, re-envisioning Christianity for what it was truly meant to be. And Talarico reflects that. There's not been that before. And that's the secret sauce. That's what's driving them crazy. But it's also what's propelling. See, it's driving the Republicans crazy, but it is propelling Talarico. And there's a difference in politics between driving and propelling. And Talarico is on the propelling part end of it. They are on the driving end of it, the Republicans. And that's why they have to have these Bible readings, public Bible readings, public declarations of religion and faith and all of this, because they are losing it. They are losing that battle. And they are losing that battle for the first time in Texas politics. And they understand, as Talarico understands, as we understand, so I want y'all to understand. If this trend stays and keeps up and short of, we don't know what they're going to do. We don't know what Paxton meant by, once we expose his views, he's done. You can just about bet they're not going to come after Opie. They're not going to come after his politics. They're going to come after what they have lost and what they are losing, and that's the Christian vote. Because that has been the holy grail for Republicans in this state. Not so much anymore. At all. And y'all, that's what's really happening. That is what's really happening with this race. And it is fun. It is fun to watch. It is fun to